Let's kick it off with Zoom with Joel from Ozark, Missouri.
All right.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, y'all.
How are you doing? We can see you here too, which is perfect. What's your question for us?
So my question, my wife and I, we're different intensity levels as far as our process of becoming debt free. I'm more like on trash day watching the neighbors to see if they set a $10 lamp out on the curb I can hawk on Facebook. She's more like, hey, let's try to take a nice trip with the girls. So what my question is, how can we kind of bridge that gap between our intensity levels to find a common ground?
For sure. I have a question, Joel, for you. What baby step are you guys on? Are you guys working your way out of debt?
We're like at the finish line with baby
Okay.
step 2. So we're getting ready to cross into 3, 4, and 5. And
So
we're still
good.
fired up. I mean, we're on the same page as far as wanting to be debt free as quick as possible. So there's at least that positive that we're on the same page. But just like I said, we're just different intensity levels. I probably need to tone it down a little bit.
No,
I don't know.
I think you're both doing
disagree.
fine. I
Yeah.
think you're both doing fine. Larry Burkett used to say, Joel, if two people just alike get married, one of you is unnecessary. So it's good that opposites attract.
I was going to say, I think
one
that
being
there's...
fired up and the other one being chill, that's good.
It's what you always find, too. You know, when we talk to couples, there's always going to be the one that's you, Joel, that's out on the street looking for a lamp in the trash
That's
to be
so
like,
great.
here's what we can do. And
Steve
then there's
Martin
always going to be
movie,
the one
remember
that just says, oh, that's not my thing, right? So again, I think that is so normal. That is so common, Joel. And I think the biggest thing is that your values align. The ultimate goal of where you guys are going, the direction of which you are going is consistent, and it's together as a team. And I think that is far and beyond number one for me.
Yeah, as long as you're aligned, as long as you're both have agreed this is the goal and I'm going to go at it more intensely than you are, that's okay. I'm not going to do anything. Good luck with that. That's not okay. That's not okay.
At that point, your values are not shared. And
That's a different problem. Now we got a marriage thing going on.
Absolutely, yes. And for Joel, I don't think that's it necessarily.
No, I think he's described, you guys are on the same page. It's just he's the guy with the lamp and she's like, would you chill a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm a little sick of Ramsey stuff right now.
That's right.
Well, the way the baby steps are, it actually is great that you guys are the way you are because Joel, for you early on, baby steps 1, 2, and 3, you need that intensity. You need that person to remind, the other spouse of this is what we need to be in order to get these first 3 done. Whereas your wife, she'll probably shine more in baby steps 4, 5, and 6 because you do get to kind of ease off the gas and just like enjoy life.
You know what? That's an interesting thing because some people are marathoners and some are sprinters.
That's right.
And so the sprinter always does well. That's the gazelle intensity in the first 3 steps. That's me. And then my wife, Sharon, she's like, we're just going to keep at this. She's the tortoise that wins the race, beats the hare every time.
Yeah, and I think the relational aspect, Joel, I love your question because, we get calls a lot on the Ramsey Show in terms of this idea with relationships and money. And I think it's always a beautiful thing, and I feel like this is how Winston and I have experienced it and kind of probably you guys with your spouses. But I know for me, I'm like, I now have learned to so appreciate the strengths that he brings, because he's probably more you, Joel, and I'm probably more your wife, honestly, where I'm like, yeah, to enjoy life, that's what I do. I allow us to have fun and have a life. But Winston, make sure that we're not broke and that I don't spend everything. But again, I think there is that element of embracing your differences and finding the respect of what your spouse brings to the table. Like that creates beautiful conversation.
It's very, very important, though, that the ultimate goal is agreed on.
That's absolutely.
And that we're both driving to that, and that sheds off all the 90% of all the disagreements.
Yes, so great.
It's just a question. So great.
Thank you, Joel. Thanks for your question.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Lamp.
All right, we have a question from social, which is fun, at Callaloo1994. My significant other and I aren't married yet. Should we have joint bank accounts?
Ooh, I'm gonna say immediately no. You should not have joint bank accounts if you're not married, right? That should not happen until after you've said I do. And then once you say I do, 100% combine your money. I mean, we talk about it all the time. You go further, faster together.
I love it. So great. All right, up next, we have another Zoom call, which is so great. We have Art from Nashville, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Art.
Hey, Art, how are you?
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, welcome. What's your question for us?
Yeah, I'm a real estate agent here in actually Nashville, and I live in a world where it's pretty uncertain where my income's coming a lot of times. It's not as consistent as I'd like it to be. Business ebbs and flows quite a bit based on the market, and so that can be a challenge. Just curious, how would I look at budgeting knowing that that's the kind of income that I've got and the lifestyle I've chosen for myself.
Yeah. Art, tell us, has there been a $0 month? What's a normal month for you? What's a low month or a high month?
Yeah. Typically, I sell 1 to 2 homes a month. Last year I sold 18 homes. So, you're talking about between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. But then there can be 2 months where I don't make anything, right? Like there can be, the wintertime is oftentimes a little bit slower than the spring or the summer. So
Yeah.
it's kind of,
No, that's a real problem. And a lot of people are regular income, commission, sales, seasonal, whatever it is. So what you're going to do when you open up your every dollar budget is look at it like a prioritized spending plan. So you got to cover the 4 walls. If we only make this much, we cover the 4 walls, nothing else gets paid. If we make more than that, we can start to go to the next priority, whether that's debt payoff, savings, the luxuries, the subscriptions, whatever it is. And if you do have a $0 month, you can look at this like a peaks and valleys fund where you set aside some of that money knowing you got to cover those $0 months in the wintertime. And that'll help you avoid the freak out mode of, am I going to get money this next month? And so getting out of baby step 2 and 3 really helps because then you have more cushion as well.
Yeah, Art, I learned to do that Peaks and Valleys fund when I was doing real estate. When I was first discovered these things, I'd gone broke in the real estate business. I was back to doing real estate again. I had some 0 months, and I might have $20,000 the next month. And that was real. So the Peaks and Valleys fund, what I want to point out, is different than the emergency fund. This is, I have a $20,000 month and I might have 0 next month, so I'm not putting all of that in the budget. I'm just going to slide $5K over here to cover the house and the water and the lights and the food in case I have a 0 month. And that's different than an emergency fund. Emergency fund's only for emergencies. This is just cash planning. It's a different thing. So you got 2 different accounts here when you're running that. And this is only for those of you that have extreme volatile income. And extreme would mean you have a 0 month. Most people that have a volatile income don't have 0 months. Now, in real estate business, that's one where you would. But most of the time you'll have, my worst month is $4,000. Well, you can cover most of your stuff. My best month is $14,000 or whatever, that kind of stuff. So you can cover, all you got to do then is force rank the difference then, like George was saying, in every dollar. You don't need the peaks and valley there. If you're low average, you'll cover your nut. That's what you run with.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
if you got a 0 low average like you do, you've got to have that separate peaks and valleys fund to cover that.
Are you married, Art?
I am.
You are, okay. I was going to say, because
28
having...
years.
Oh, good. Congratulations. And I was going to say, for your wife, probably having a completely separate account, beyond the emergency fund, what Dave was saying. For me, I know I like to see a completely different account of like, okay, here's some money. So if we do have a lower month, this isn't being pulled from the emergency fund, and it's so visually easy to see. There's something that gives me a lot of peace in that, maybe your wife as well, I don't know. But just knowing that you're planning out ahead, I think is really, really important.
Hey, Art, does she work?
Yeah. She's a photographer. She's self-employed.
Okay, what's her low month?
She probably does about $1,000 a month on average.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so you still probably can't cover everything. When you have 0 and she makes
Yeah.
$1,000, you probably still need an account. Okay.
And
Because if she's making $5,000 a month, then the whole conversation just changed back again.
Right.
What's been
Yeah.
really helpful is we have a feature in every dollar called paycheck planning on that premium side, and we'll send you that bundle, Art, to help you with that. And that paycheck planning tool is a game changer because it'll show you, based on how much income you have, how much expenses you have, when you're going to run out of money, and you can start moving bills around, calling, switching it online so that you don't run out of money. Gives you that really clear visual.
George is giving away bundles.
I know. I didn't know we could do that.
Such a giver.
Dave runs the place.
He's generous.
God owns it all.
Thanks, guys.
So great. Thank you, Art. Thanks for your question.